can you talk about the importance of a network, whether that's trading buddies, a pod, a trading community, to be able to balance some of the possible bias that you might have in any given direction and use them to build yourself and improve as a trader?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think that a community, it doesn't have to be super large, but just some people that you can bounce ideas off is necessary. Because first of all, trading in itself, and you hear it all the time, but it's so true. It's a lonely ordeal, right? Like if you're sitting in a big drawdown, the only person that's looking at that screen is you, right? Or if you have a big win, then some people don't know how to relate that aren't traders, right? I barely talk to my wife about, hey, I did XYZ or I didn't do XYZ, just because she doesn't get it. So being able to bounce ideas off different people, see what they're thinking, and get that feedback to me is critical. And it helps you stay balanced, in my opinion, right? Like everybody, it's interesting because things kind of change over time, and you know, people change, but at the end of the day, it's always the same thing where you just need, I don't know if it's like a hug or whatever, like I don't know how to describe it, but you just need to have like that sounding board. You can say, hey, I think XYZ, and that person be like, well, no, maybe I was thinking this, but what if it does that? And it's like, okay, let me sit back. Even if you're both thinking, let's say, me and you were talking and I want to short it here, and you say, well, I'm looking for it up here. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Why would he be looking for that? And it just kind of gets the gears going. Or maybe I want to be short and you want to be long. Well, why is that? Right. And it just like iron sharpens iron, right? So just having people that you can kind of go back and forth with and get those ideas off is it's important. And just be able to share like those small wins, or just to have a shoulder that kind of, it sounds super, super whack, but just just kind of lean on in those tough times. Like I don't think that a lot of people really socialize that a lot of us have a lot of tough times, right? Like you see the good days and hey, somebody did this and somebody did that, but a week before that, 2 weeks before that, that person could have been absolutely in the dumps, right? And I think it's good to have people that understand both sides of that you can kind of speak to, and that can kind of be, like that foundation, like just like a good friend, like we call them trading buddies, but I like to think of these guys that I interact with as friends. Like if you came to my house, I'm gonna cook for you. Like that's just the way that it is, because it's much more deeper than just trading.
Trading and finding a group of trading buddies or a community is really helpful for development as a trader. Otherwise, like you mentioned, we are just in this lonely endeavor, kind of just internalizing and dealing with our losses by ourselves. Maybe our significant other doesn't know about it or is not equipped to help us deal with sort of
And
these.
that's tough, man. That is tough. Like I remember it was 2021 on my birthday of all days. I had a great 2020, as many people did, and I thought I knew more than what I actually knew. So I got sizing, and that size came to bite. And so I'm on my birthday, I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what I guess this is, I literally said, well, this is it. This is it. And my wife didn't know how to speak to that, right? Like she doesn't know what that feels like. She's like, oh, well, just do better next time. But when you pour so much and so many hours into something, it just hits different when somebody else that's gone through that can actually say, hey, pick your head up, you got this thing. It hits so much different. And while I know it's my wife and I know that she wants well and she wants to see me succeed just more than anybody else, more than likely, it's just not, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just not the same. So having those people that you can lean and depend on in those types of situations are kind of like, chin up, champ. You got this. It means a lot. It really does.